Hey guys, in this video we are going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, which is wealth. How you guys can become filthy rich. But here's the twist. Most guys on Instagram and YouTube, they're going to come on here and try to sell you their course. They're going to tell you that the number one way to make X amount per month is to do remote sales or appointment setting or drop shipping or e-commerce. I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm going to take a very different approach, and it's the unsexy answer, to be honest, but it is practical, it works, and it's how most entrepreneurs become successful. And here's the thing, like, the main gist of this video is actually not becoming an entrepreneur. I'm going to be struggling throughout this video because we're going through a heat wave in the UK right now, but let's jump straight into it. I'm sweating, but who cares? We just need to get it done. This is going to be a longer video, so get your notes ready and just follow along, guys, and feel free to come back to the video. And yeah, this video is about becoming wealthy. So things you should know. Wealth is really, really simple when you understand the fundamentals, which we are going to go through. Building wealth is the ultimate form of discipline. So I've used an example. Deciding to go to Las Vegas could literally undo 10 years of work. I'm literally going to show you in this video how, without starting a business, you can actually go ahead in just a few years, get 180 grand, 200k together that you can actually go ahead and put into some kind of business. But 200k, I mean, that's not a lot of money. I mean, you can do a lot with it. It depends how smart you are with it. I wouldn't even say £1 million could take you too far if you're just going to spend it. Like, if you had 200k, you could easily spend that in a very short amount of time if you make a very stupid decision. If you get too big-headed and say, look, I'm going to go to Las Vegas, I'm going to have a good time, I've worked really hard the last 5 years, and suddenly 25% of your net worth is just gone. A lot of this is internal and making the right decisions. So you might start work and say, hey, okay, I'm just going to get a coffee. You know, you might think that's just getting a coffee, but at the end of the day, if you're doing that every single day, that all adds up. I mean, I worked it out. I think I've actually put it within this video. That's like 1.1k if you get a £4 coffee every single day for an entire year. And that could take you a long way. Just because some guy with his 10k watch and rented Lambo looks rich doesn't mean you should take his word for gospel. I mean, age isn't a big thing. Like, it's not about their age. It's about how much life experience they've had. I'm not an old guy, you know, like, there are people with a lot more life experience than me. But I've actually gone ahead, and I'm going to show you throughout this video, I've worked extremely hard. I've worked in a number of different industries. I've thrown every single penny I've made into my bank account, and it's just sitting there ready for me when I start buying up businesses in the future, when I start investing into property. So this is something I'm actively doing. This is the roadmap I'm following. This is principles. This entire video is about principles, methods, that I've learned from studying different entrepreneurs, from people within my network, people I know that are successful. This is the route that they've all followed. It's not the digital nomad route, which I'm going to discuss in this video. It might be a thing for you, but I mean, I'm not a clever guy, to be honest. I'm not exceptionally intelligent. I mean, I've done a lot for myself, but I'm not better than anybody else. This is just what I followed and is absolutely working a lot more than I thought it would, to be honest. Really rich people typically don't make however much per month, or 10k per month, for example. They get their money in drips and drabs, like when a property deal completes. So that typically takes about 2 months for a property deal to complete, until completion. And also dividends, it depends. Sometimes it's every month, but usually it's like every quarter or every year. So if someone says, oh yeah, I make 20k per month, bro, it's probably not true. Like, really rich people, they get their money in drips and drabs, unless they're doing sort of like retainer work. But just be very careful with what you listen to online. You don't need to be impressive or clever. If you are young, just work hard and save. Keep it as simple as possible, guys. So when you mature, when you grow, when you've actually become the character who can save that kind of money, you're going to be a very financially savvy person, if that makes sense. You're going to have those skills. So, and also you're going to make better decisions for it, you know. If you've gone through years of making the right decisions, when it comes to when you have that 200k in your bank account, you're going to be like, oh, look, I can actually make good decisions. So let me discuss my own personal finances, because this channel isn't really about saying, do this, do this, do this. It's about what I'm doing. And if you guys think the advice is good, go ahead and follow it. I'm just trying to set a good example, especially for you young guys. So my own personal finances, my income fluctuates massively. The UK property market has had its slowest 8 months in the last 10 years. I saw 2 6k months last year, and to be quite honest with you, it's been not significantly worse. It's not been that good this year. I mean, I won't sort of go into each and every month, although I have graphed it out, but it just fluctuates massively, and no one makes like a set 10, 20k per month. It fluctuates. It's very different. Like there have been months where I've done 2k, there have been months where I've done 6k. It fluctuates. So to get to my current position, I was working 60, 70 hour weeks. I was working in security, I was doing bar work, I was the head chef at one point. I did construction for about a year, and I was, at one point I had 3 different jobs, including bar work, the current real estate position I am in. On top of that, I was doing web design as well. So I was working a lot of hours just to get as much capital as possible. And this is something I'm still actively doing. I'm still putting money away. I'm just very blessed to be in the position I am, where I am a partner in a real estate company. This isn't something I've planned. This is just an opportunity that has come across the table. But I'm very much still doing this, and I'm going to discuss careers within this video on top of 9 to 5s. So I did web design to top up my income. In 2025, I made an extra 10k, which was very helpful. I want to buy small businesses and use my skills to help them grow. There are a lot of 70-year-old guys that want to retire. They'd happily just hand their business over to me for 50k or whatever. And they've been building that their entire life, and I can use AI systems to really get things going. I can employ salespeople, and this is exactly what my business partner does within the real estate company, who has years on me in terms of business real estate. On top of that, I will get on to my own property deals in the future. I'll also discuss something called a self-invested pension within this video as well for the tax benefits. But yeah, this is not financial advice, guys. This is just me saying what I'm doing, and if you like any of it, feel free to follow. I think this is a fantastic framework though. So, most really rich people I know have followed the boring and hard route. But I'm just going to ask you a very difficult question, guys, and that is, what are your current chances of success? And actually write this down, guys. What do you think your actual chances are of becoming a successful, wealthy person? And yeah, just write it down and just put a number to it, guys. Well, I'm here to tell you, your chances of success right now are 0%. You might think I'm an arsehole. Your stomach might have just dropped to your balls. But it's true, guys. If you're still going about life the same way, if you're not even going and starting some side hustle and putting money away, if you're still spending your money willy-nilly and just going about life without taking any responsibility, without taking life by the horns, there's no chance of you becoming successful. But there is one word which is called leverage, which we're going to talk about within this video. I'm going to keep referring back to it. I'm not more impressive or better than anyone else in any way. Far from it. That's not to say you shouldn't have an ego, guys. You certainly should. You should hold yourself to a very high standard. You should have a good self-image. But, I mean, like during school, I was a C student. I wasn't very clever. It took me a very long time to sort of learn how to go to the gym and to do this business stuff. It had a huge learning curve for me compared to other people. And yeah, it's just been a sort of hard thing for me to get over, but if I can do it, you guys most certainly can as well. Leverage. You either have time or money right now. If you have more money, you have more responsibility. This often means you've got staff to deal with, you've got to get insurance and stuff in case you lose all the money. So you might find that you might use your money to get more time by hiring more staff. That's how you leverage money, so you get more time. And then here's the paradox. If you're broke, you're skillless, and you're unemployed, you've got a lot more time than the rich guy. So you might say you're either going to start a side hustle or you're going to get a 9 to 5 job, work for 5 years, work weekends, work whenever possible, work holidays, so you can easily get to 60 or 70k per year. That is leverage. Now we're going to discuss a term called capital, which is really going to be that ship which will get you to your successful life. You know, when you have that capital there, the world is your oyster. You are going to have options, and when you have that capital, you're also going to have the skills required to make the right decisions. When you have capital, you have options. There is no set way to make lots of money. I have lots of skills and am a partner in a real estate company, so naturally buying boring businesses and improving them and buying property is a fantastic option. Just the way I want to go. It's where my skills are, where my skills lie. When you have money, you think differently and you have the skills necessary to spend it wisely. Now, decision making. It's all about making as many good decisions as possible. As I said 1.1k earlier, but if you've got a £4 coffee, which is how much mine costs, every single day, that costs 1.4k per year. That's a crazy amount of money, and especially if you're going to follow this framework for the next 5 years. That's like 7.5k. That is crazy. Think about that. That's literally, you could probably spend 6 months on that money and just work on your business. And because you've decided to get a coffee every single day for a year, or for 5 years, that's pretty crazy. You've just wasted 6 months of your time. When you finally do get the capital, you will have the skills required to use it wisely, as previously discussed. And also, I want to state, the average millionaire is 57, by the way. The guys you watch on Instagram, the influencers, are not millionaires. None of them have any assets. They rent all their cars. They are not to be trusted. They are not to be trusted. I repeat, they are not to be trusted to give you financial advice. You should not be buying their courses. You can find any information you want using a £10 ebook by watching the right YouTube video. If you find someone you really trust, who is pretty authentic, courses are great for getting that information really quickly or some kind of mentorship. But just keep this in mind, guys. The average millionaire is 57. It takes a very long time, even if you're on 10k per month. 100k to a million is meant to be a lot harder than like 10 to 100k, just to put it into perspective. But yes, remember that, guys. I'm not saying you shouldn't have that drive behind you, but you should also be patient, because frustrating yourself about this kind of stuff is the worst thing you can do. So we're going to discuss phase 1, which is capital, and I'm going to discuss a couple of ways you can go about it. This, in my opinion, is the best way to go about it, which is a 9 to 5 job. And it's exactly what I've done. It's thrown opportunities my way. I've worked in a number of different industries. So get some kind of low-skilled job with opportunities, unless you have qualification, of course, where you be able to get more money. So that could be a warehouse worker, a forklift driver, working at a supermarket. The reason I say this is because these kind of industries, there's a lot of opportunity for overtime. So let's say average 15 per hour, which is not unachievable. It's pretty average, I think. If you work 50 hours per week, that is 36k per year. Obviously, you have tax and stuff. We'll discuss that in a moment. Then if you do weekends, overtime, Christmas, then you do extra stuff like part-time hospitality work, which is what I did, like bar shifts, you can easily get to that 60 or 70k mark. Sort of getting that 60k is where you want to be. If you can find a way to do this online or with a business, that's great, but this is how capitalism works, guys, and it absolutely does work. And it's how most rich guys have done it. They've started from the bottom, they've done like pot washing or something just to get their money up, and they've just built that capital. Capital is everything, guys. Then we got a career. So what I do, I've sort of found that I've somehow become a real estate agent and I've become a partner in the company. There are more law graduates working at Starbucks than ever. With this being said, working a high level career is a fantastic way to build capital and eventually start a business, because you're going to notice problems, guys. You're going to notice gaps in the market, and I find it every single day. I think of business ideas every single day. The most successful people I have noticed are the ones who solely dedicate themselves. They chase resistance. They get hard tasks out of the way quickly. They do overtime. For example, if you work in an office, I find often your colleagues would try and avoid phone calls and stuff. They would try and avoid the hard tasks. What I am like, I just like getting those out of the way. I get a sense of fulfillment. It's almost like a drug when you get those hard tasks out of the way and you feel like the boss, you just feel amazing just getting through those leads and getting through a difficult phone call. But that's my advice for leveling up in your career. Then you got the digital nomad route. This is like a businessman when deciding to go this route. So you need to work 9 to 5 hours to get this done, even if that means you're already working a 9 to 5 job and you've got to work an extra 50 hours per week on your business. It's got to be done. I've found that most it doesn't work out for a lot of these guys. That doesn't make sense. But my point is, it doesn't work out for a lot of these guys. A lot of them move to Southeast Asia, don't really go above 1.5k per month. None of them are making sacrifices for their future. None of them are buying up assets. Not to shit on these guys or anything, but I mean, they live a free life. They live on a budget, that's fantastic. That's not to say some of these guys don't make good money, but I just want to be realistic. Just a lot of the guys that do this sort of settle, if that makes sense. But if you want to go this route, fantastic. But it's difficult to get to those high numbers. But it absolutely is possible. But it's hard, and you just need to think logically and just say, okay, well, will I actually be able to make this work? And if the answer is no, maybe going with one of my other options is the right way to go. But if you truly do believe in yourself and you can make this work, go for it. This is something that I've made work for myself. I didn't ever go above 5k per month doing web design or anything, but I certainly did see some good consistent success from it, and it really did top my money up in 2024/2025. So this is a good booster in my opinion, but I just love the real world stuff, and I just love the ability to just work my ass off and just put that money away and just see the numbers stack up every single month and get those real world opportunities like property deals constantly coming across my table. If I just had the capital there, I would be in a great position. That's not to say I don't get involved with these deals through using my skills, but if I had capital there, I'd be able to leverage these opportunities a lot more. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. So, if you're actually going to spend that money, here's just a little example. I think I've got everything here. You can certainly live off 15k per year. That's absolutely achievable. That's rent, food, public transport. I mean, if you get a car, that might be something you need to do, then I understand. But when I found it, as soon as I got my car, your responsibilities go up all the time. You pop a tire, or you got to go out and buy oil all the time, and not all the time, but you might clip someone's car and they've noticed, and suddenly you've got to pay £400. I mean, these are all things you need to think about. You got a gym, £20 if you go to like Energy Fitness or something. Dates, I mean, 1.2k per year unless you want to hold off. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I love meeting beautiful girls and going on dates, having good experiences. Doesn't need to be expensive or anything. Holidays, 2k. I mean, you guys got to enjoy your life, you know. No one's guaranteed to make millions, you know. Like, sorry to be a downer, but I'd hate to like be in a horrible car crash tomorrow and just think, wow, I've just worked the last 4 years and I haven't really lived my life at all. Like, other than my childhood, I haven't really experienced adulthood and the joys that that brings. Because traveling is fantastic. I mean, I've probably been to like 20 countries in the last 4 years. So don't neglect that stuff, guys. And you certainly can do it, especially if you're in a 9-to-5 job. Say you go away 4 times per year, it's 5-day trips. If you live in Europe, flights are like £30, plus you get holiday pay from your work. So after tax, you'd be able to save about 36k after tax. And then after 5 years, you're looking at about 180k. You know, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more. But that is time right there. That is stuff, money you can use. That's a resource you can use to leverage and just build a wealth builder or buy a business or get into property. Do something to actually make that money work for you. But don't let yourself get comfortable. When you see that first 50k, don't think, okay, you can go on holiday or you can start enjoying that money and getting coffees all the time, because it defeats the purpose, you know. Your money hasn't even gone up yet. You're just gonna lose everything you've saved and it won't take long. Phase 2 is leveraging your capital. You should have built maturity and skills by this point. From years of making the right decisions, you are already wealthy, you make a good salary, you have 180k in your account. This is just an example, guys, but on paper though, you're making 60k per year, which is not a bad salary, as much as people might tell you otherwise. And you've got pretty much 200k just sat there. So you could solve a problem within your industry, you could buy a business within your industry, you could get into property, but more importantly, you have 10 years of your time sat there. Like, if you're living on 18k per year, which is a lot, I mean, you could do it a lot less than that. You know, you've got 10 years of time just sat there. That's a lot of life. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could just go to Bali and live out your life for 15 years, you know? I like the following strategies as they are tied to capital and not time, so you get faster results. If you were to right now just start a service business, it's very much tied to your time. It's not the wrong way to go, but I like the idea of just getting a load of money together and having a thing that is almost nothing's guaranteed to work, but really likely to work. It's known to work, and it's going to work quickly. So one option is buying a business. This is what my business partner does. He owns he bought out a skip hire company from a 70-year-old and a steel fabrication business from another 70-year-old who were both retiring. And the businesses were just sat there. They weren't really growing. They were making money, but we went in there and we just said, okay, we're going to hire 2 new salespeople and we were going to create a nice brand new website using Claude Code, going to implement things like Go High Level. I mean, that's the way I want to go, you know. The richest people I know have very boring businesses like waste removal. You know, it's a fantastic route to go down. Creating a product, you know, that's another fantastic thing to do. If you found like some sort of problem in your own life and nobody else is really trying to solve that problem, and you can just look at the idea and do your market research, and you find a product, you know, this is later down the line. You don't need the skills right now, as long as you build the skills up over the next 5-10 years, guys. Property, I love property. whether you're doing international property, like luxury properties abroad, or you're just keeping it in your home country, like the UK for me, property is a great way to go. You don't even need to buy property, you can just control property. There's something called rent to rent, which is quite high risk. I know of a few landlords who have actually gone bankrupt from doing this. I wouldn't say that's the best strategy. There's something called buy, rent, refurbish, refinance, which is a great way to go, where you buy a property, whether that is using a mortgage or buying cash. Um, then you rent it out for a little while, then you refurbish the property, then you refinance and take out what is left, and you pretty much keep recycling that property. I would be happy to go ahead and go a bit deeper in another video there. And phase 3 is making your money work for you, whether that's using the S&P 500 or the FTSE, which S&P is the US index fund, FTSE is the UK index fund. And also I've got the SIP, which is a self-invested pension. Now, this is great for the tax benefits. You can't touch the money until you're a lot older, but I mean, it's another way if you want to save that kind of money. So I've got these mixed up. There's something called the 4% rule. But yeah, so the 4% rule, in a nutshell, it's like the safest way to take money out without losing the actual value of what is in whatever stock you're investing in. So you're pretty much, if you've got $1 million in your whatever account, let's say the S&P 500, after a year, that's going to have however much in. You just take 4% out of that, which would be 40k, and you'd still have 1 mil, maybe a bit more in the account. But by taking 4% out every single year, you're pretty much in the safe zone. I recommend going ahead and doing your own research on this, but the 4% rule, it's a fantastic way to take out money from what you've earned throughout your entire life. And you can also go ahead, hire staff, run a team, get hands-on to really start scaling your business, technology. But this is all stuff you guys will learn. Learn to love the journey. Hard work is not something to avoid, which a lot of these guys online telling you like you're sort of in the rat race and stuff. Don't listen to that BS, guys. No one's telling you not to be successful, but as I said earlier, the average millionaire is 57. It's not to say that you're not going to be successful by then, but don't frustrate yourself, because that is how you fail. That is how you burn yourself out. That is how you have a low self-esteem. These guys online, they tell you that they're there to be self-improvement coaches and try and make you be better. But I don't know if you can go ahead and watch those videos logically. They're speaking down to you. They're making you feel shit about yourself. That is not how I've improved my life. I've improved my life from dealing with the internal stuff, improving my self-esteem, improving my identity, and not being spoken down to. So, something to think about. Final note, show humility, be a lifelong student. Tony Robbins is a great person to listen to. He's helped me with my finance knowledge massively. He's got a good couple of books. Psychology of Money is a good book, not by Tony Robbins, but it's a good starting point. Cut out the noise, and what I mean by this is the guys on Instagram and stuff, the influencers you watch who aren't experts in finance at all. Not that I am or anything, but they don't have your best intentions at heart. I haven't even got a course to sell you. This is just something I wanted to put out to the world. And remember why you're doing this in the first place. Stop listening to kids on Instagram who haven't been where you are. Learn about finance and business. And that is it, guys. My final note is, I've already done that. Right, ignore me. So guys, if you have any questions at all, feel free to shoot them to me on Instagram or in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I think this is a fantastic route to go down. This is the real world route, I think this world is very much moving back into, the online space will always be a thing, but people prefer online businesses. People love that human element, which is what I'm doing. I love where I am in life right now. I was told for years that I shouldn't do like an in-person business, but I've never been happier. I love getting in my nice car in the morning, driving to the office, getting the team excited in the morning, sat around a whiteboard and just talking about the plan for the day, and actually getting on the phone with rich people, trying to sell them properties, building connections, and I've never been happier. And I think if you guys follow this route that I've laid out for you in this video, I think this is pretty foolproof. If you can just get that capital there, you can do whatever you want with it. And I promise you, 5-10 years when you have that just money, that pool of money just sat there, you're going to be the type of person that knows how to spend it properly. So if you have any questions, let me know. But thank you guys very much for watching.